You got it?
I think he's got it.
Yes.
We got it. Okay.
Okay.
Let me get the screen back.
We're not strict programmers.
Down the road.
Where the entrepreneur and founder is at.
Nope, trust me, you want to keep track of this, it's not on the page.
Yeah.
Keep those things, all those things.
How do you reach out?
You're all volunteers,
Part of
right?
well, you have some
Yeah, that's
web design.
Down the road.
Right.
I can't know how to do it right now.
it's mostly word of mouth. We've been around since the late 80s.
That's what I was gonna ask you, is how long you've been around?
Yeah, so organization since 1988.
I didn't know that, wow.
Young
Been
entrepreneurs.
around a long time.
One of the guys.
Yeah, so it goes up and down.
I'm like
3-4 years
Good.
ago, it's down.
I'm like,
and
sounds like
we're
I got a frame.
How long have you
But
been?
I'm behind me.
up 5 years.
And so then in the video,
Okay.
you know, I can't.
There's a turnaround.
When you brought it down.
Turnaround artist.
It was already a moment.
Yeah.
But we have board of directors.
Takes
And
over.
then we have endless,
That one, yeah, that's been problematic.
Yeah.
That's
I
one
brought my
of
husband
the
today,
organizations.
he actually works for
Yeah,
the
really
website, in addition to being a just go ahead and see where, Fannie Mae, you know, all that.
We have,
Let's go off.
we have
He's
11 right
a
now.
fisheries biologist, a
Oh,
freshwater
maybe.
Yeah,
ecologist,
space for 9.
and,
And 11, so we-
as a contractor
Goes off
for
after
the-
nothing.
Yeah, I think so.
He also does something.
All righty. I think we have liftoff, so to speak.
We have
We're
liftoff.
good? Okay, well, hello out there on Facebook Live. Hello, everybody here. Welcome to Biz Ed. I'm Brett Carpenter. I'm your MC for today. And so we hope to give you some things that you can take away with you and really use in your business. So we thank the Beck, our host here, Scott Weaver. We thank D. Scott Smith helping us with social media. We have our founder here, Dru. You're going to see a lot more of Dru later, so yeah, not going to talk about him right now. And myself, we all kind of get together and try to put this on to give businesses in town some what we would call positively actionable education. Something you can do something with, hopefully tomorrow, in your business. The idea is step by step, we all build up our businesses, make them better. This has been going on for 8 years. Dru started this back in Denver and has now, 3 locations in Denver area.
Yes.
And also now in San Diego and here in Corvallis. So 3 states, 5 locations, and growing. There's a lot of interest in this because the idea is that if we can connect you with industry experts, we can connect you with other people in the community, maybe there are other things that come out of those connections that maybe you become an ally and you benefit from the connections we make here. We saw Scott talking about the Beck here and talking about what you guys do here, and probably a lot of people here didn't know exactly what the Beck did until they sat down and talked to Scott here. So there's a lot to getting together and chatting and really seeing what the value is of these interactions and what you can get out of the talks. So this is not a big delayed, long sales pitch for anybody's services. We all are professionals here. We all can do things, but the idea is that we get good information into your hands, heads, and actions, hopefully. So at the end of this, actually, we got a couple of sheets that you guys picked up, and one of them is a form for referrals, and or if you want to talk to any of us further, it's a way to do that. But also, there's a form that we want you to pick something. Think about it. What would you use tomorrow? Because at the end of this, we'll come back to you. We're going to have you introduce yourselves first. But at the end of all this, after his talk, we're also going to come back and say, hey, what out of this might you use tomorrow or the next day in your business? And that's really our main thing that we want to do. So this is going on Facebook Live right now. We are on meetup.com, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, boostbized.com. So any of those you can find Boost Biz Ed, and you can tell people you're here or you like what we're doing here. So I'd like everybody here to give us, I have our guests to give us 20 seconds. Why are you here? What do you do? And why did you choose to spend your time with us? Because your time is valuable, and we understand that. So why don't we start right here?
Stand up.
Yeah. Nathan Sanders, owner of Made to Perfection House Cleaning Company. We came here to learn what we can from you guys and get to know some more people.
Okay, thank you.
Same, Victoria with Make It Perfection. We're here to learn how to make our website better. There's call to action, so I'm sure we can optimize our calls to action on our website.
There you go. And you don't all have to come up here, but do stand up.
Peter Burke, I'm a volunteer here at the back, and I'm showing up just to encourage Dru.
Well, thank you.
I'm Yvonne Udy-Vilomniki. Your personal assistant is the name of my business. I do all kinds of services for professionals and seniors and their families. And I come here to learn a little bit more about this concept of website conversion.
I'm Greg Lomnicki. I'm interested in a lot of things. I do some landscaping. I do handyman type jobs around. Also have built 5 websites and just thought I'd come and learn a little bit more.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm Scott Weaver. I'm president of the BEC. I come here to open the doors, make sure everything's there. But you know, BEC really wants to do education, and it's great teaming up with Dru and his organization to help educate entrepreneurs.
Good afternoon, I'm Jesse with Corvallis Custom. We do professional printing. In your Facebook Live video, it turns out sideways.
It works!
And I'm here because I love the idea of Biz Ed, right? Like, we're a small community and we have a collective knowledge, and we can really expand everybody's reach and the impact that we make within the community by sharing that knowledge. So, great idea, Dru.
That's great. You should come up here and see that.
And I'm Scott Smith. I do social media for businesses. I teach them how to do it, and I do it for them. So a DIY and a done for you. And then also partnered up with Scott Weaver with One Unified Strategy, where we provide coaching for freelancers. Because as freelancers, you got to do it all. Develop the products, sell and market the products, do all the customer service, accounting, finance, bookkeeping. It gets overwhelming. And so a little structure, a little accountability, and lots of tools.
All right, thank you. So, as you can tell, we're all, doing businesses. We're all professionals here. There's all, to me, any one of these gatherings, I always learn something from almost everybody. I've been involved in a lot of, website projects and understand it to a degree, but I always learn something when I come to these things, no matter what we're talking about. So that said, we do have a presentation here, and that's part of why we're here. And our founder is also doing a presentation here. So Dru's been doing this for a number of years. And so we convinced him that maybe doing a talk would be good too. And we appreciate that. So, and I'm still learning more about Dru, but he's spent his career, as he says, manipulating media and message for large and small businesses, from AT&T to Yale University, to local health practices, property managers, attorneys. Started in journalism. Never thought you would be in web design, did you?
It didn't exist then.
No, it actually didn't.
That I know.
So he has a degree from John Brown University in Arkansas, and in the last 11 years he's been an entrepreneur with his company called Action Alliance. And so what I love about what Dru's company is all about, it's like, yeah, you got to go out and do something. and you take action. You can't sit around and whine and wait for people to come to you. You have to go actually do things, and I think that's a great message. So he's been doing Biz Ed as a community service basically for the last 8 years in the communities he's been part of, and so we really appreciate all the expertise and everything he brings to it. So welcome, Dru. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, it's good to be here and to be in this position.
Do you want me to flip to your presentation?
Oh, well, let me flip that right now. Thank you.
I always forget.
There we go. Right in time for football season, I bring a Gridiron strategy for website conversion, and I'll have to. My clicker isn't working, so I'll keep jumping over there to advance it forward. So let's do that right now. What's our first slide? I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, I've been doing website design for a long time, but have focused on kind of the conversion side, because especially if you're spending money getting people to your website, with ads and things like that, you want to make the most of every experience. Oh, we might get a clicker going.
We might get a clicker going. Come on, clicker. Oh, yes.
Oh, technology. Love it. Okay. So, I was trying to think how I could tell a few little quick stories about myself to see if I can make myself a little bit more relatable and see if you want to pay attention to me. So, I've got 3 stories. Which one should I start with? Take a pick. Space Shuttle. All right, Legos. These are all stories from my kid. As a kid, I would rebuild the same spaceship with Legos over and over again. It was interesting. It was always this, it wasn't quite the same thing, but kept improving it. And how that has translated into these modern days is I kind of do that with websites, and even with Biz Ed, it's just like we are keep reinventing it, but keep making it better and better. And it is, I'll wander into not all who wander are lost. Another story with that is, as a kid, again, my mom, are you out there? Hi, Mom. She was amazed at, as a kindergartner, how long it would take me to get to school. She would sit at the end of the street and watch me walk up every sidewalk and back down, and keep going up the next sidewalk and walk down. And eventually I would get to school, but I was an explorer even from back then. And I still loved exploring. I recently moved here to Oregon, into Corvallis, and there is so much to explore around here as far as nature goes. You know, been out to the coast many times. I know there's so much, so I'm very excited about that. As I work with small businesses, there's also a lot of exploration there that I enjoy. And as I've worked with small businesses for a number of years, I found myself digging into what I call business passions. And we'll touch on that a little bit today. But there are 5 of them, and I'll save that for later. But that is fun, to explore what makes businesses special and unique. So, the last story. The Denver Broncos, that's their old logo. I told you, I came from Denver and grew up there. So back in the 1977 season, it was in 78, they went to their first Super Bowl. I don't forget which number that was, but they got blown out by Dallas. It was an interesting time in my life, because that was a few days after my 10th birthday, and a few days after my youngest sister was born, which was 10 days and 1 year after I was born. So that dates me a little bit as far, don't do the math in your head, don't bother with that, how old I am. That's why I'm wearing some orange here, and I am a fan of Oregon State too, but both these teams this year are struggling. Can't get the offense going, but I'm an eternal optimist. I think that is why I keep following them. So yeah, I've been trying not to watch this year, but you keep hoping. And so I guess it's true with all the exploration that I do. I'm just looking for opportunity and hoping that there is always gems there. So those are a few quick stories about myself. So you want to keep listening? Yeah, got some nods? Okay, why not? And okay. Advance.
Here we go. It did.
That's just the next. Okay, so I am going to give you a tip into my secret formula. It's not a secret formula. I stole this, or I borrowed this, or I learned this through some marketing through MEC Labs. So if you're watching, Flint McLaughlin, that's right, that's your name. Thank you for this. I've adjusted it a little bit, but it's basically these pieces, and this worksheet in front of you will help us kind of look through this part here. At the top, I did list these products or these passions here, which is kind of a deeper dive into this first block, and we'll touch on that just briefly. But this, when I learned this from Flint, it had more of an algebra equation to it. This was worth a 4. That was a +4. This is a +3 division. And this was -2 because that was a negative thing. And this was a 1, and it was kind of in parentheses. I'm not so much a math guy, I'm more of a visual guy, so I kind of changed it up like this. But we'll look at these and see what we can learn from that. Let me go forward. I'm trying to put this into a football theme. Hey, Scott, come on in. And so, if I need to get a graphic designer working on this to make it better, but they are the same thing. So, why are we talking about football? Is that a hard metaphor to make? No, conversion, that's a funny marketing word, but basically that means getting people to do what you want them to do. That could be a number of different things, and these all are part of the formula that help you push your website visitors into the end zone to do what you want them to do. So, is that the one? Oh, let me explain this. Maybe I put these in a different order. No, okay. Sorry. I just got back from San Diego. Went there real quick because we started Biz Ed down there, and they did their second one, and so I kind of was there and back real fast. So if my head is foggy, I'm going to blame that. Okay. Okay. I think there's a slide in here, maybe out of order, but I wanted to learn from you what a conversion might mean from your perspective. What do you want people to do on a website? Is it, do you want them to buy? Anybody have buying things directly off your website? No? If you did, that would be a conversion. Anyone want a phone call, like a lead? Yeah, got some leads? Okay, that's a conversion. What about gaining a follower, like on Facebook, or that kind of thing? Some people want that. No, not sure. That could be a conversion. Could be being added to your mailing list, so you can reach out to them. That would be a different type of conversion. Anything else that you can, from the audience, that you might want people to do off your website?
Go to a concert.
Go to a concert?
A follower.
Oh, yeah, a follower, but actually go into an event.
To go to an event, yeah.
So yeah, so for the Biz Ed website, obviously you want people to convert by, actually RSVPing or buying a ticket. So. Anything else you can think of that would be a conversion in your world? No, that covers it pretty good. So let me explain this little worksheet in front of you. I'll walk you through these little different exercises for these different steps. But actually, let's go back to this one. I'm going to explain each of these real quickly, then we'll take a deeper dive. Okay? So, the first one, passion. Could be called pain, could be called motivation. That's the biggest square and the biggest thing, because if people aren't enough pain, the rest of it doesn't matter, right? You might have gone to the doctor, to the hospital, the ER, and are you asking a bunch of questions about qualifications and how much this is going to cost and all that? No, your arm has been cut off and you want it put back on, right? So the pain is obvious there. It's not always obvious, and sometimes you got to poke your finger in the wound a little bit, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But we can do it in a gentle way, So vision is the next biggest one. You can put a 3 on that, and these are both positive. Vision is how you uniquely solve that pain. What your vision is that you want to substitute for their pain, and we'll look into that, dig into that a little bit, and how important that is. So if you got those two going for you, that's great. If not, maybe some others need to work on. Obviously, you'd probably want to be working on a number of these. But from that sheet, when we go into that, you'll be kind of identifying some things on the right that might help in these different categories. Okay, anxieties, that's the mental head trash. All of the reasons people don't resist buying from you. And we'll dig into that with a little exercise. And these next two are kind of work together. They're kind of in parentheses. The first one is negative. That's friction. That's all the physical stuff, not the mental stuff. The physical stuff that gets in the way. It's a little bit smaller, not as significant, but still is significant. And incentives is something that you can work to counteract that friction. If there's friction, and we'll have an exercise to look into this, that you can't remove, there could be some smart incentives that you could counterbalance that to help people convert to do what you want them to do. All right. Okay, so that's the grid. So, on the right-hand side of your sheet, if you all got one, are the players. We can think of these as the football players, that kind of thing. These are the ones that we want to give the ball to, and through the exercises on the other side, we'll kind of maybe help identify these. But these are things that, I mean, some are obvious. I don't have to talk through each of these, but they're just different things that could help push people through, you know. Any of those people have questions about? No? Okay, we can talk more about it. And there might be, does anyone have anything else that's not on that list that you think could go on a website that could help? Because you could also jot that down on the right-hand side. It kind of left some blank spaces there. You think of something later, you can pitch in. So, that's actually what I had. I knew I wanted to have one in my hand for a reason. So, let's look at, we're going to do a few little exercises. The first one has to do with pain. It has to do with the passion, the motivation. And this is an exercise I call Worst Day. In that first column, and shout these out too, I say sparks. And what I mean by that, what is an indicator that someone might need your service? Anyone got one? Messy house? Or is the holidays and the guests are coming soon?
Mm-hmm.
That could be a spark, so you might write that down. Peter?
Is this the pain of the potential customer, or is it the pain of you, the organizer?
This is of your potential customer. Thank you for that question. Yeah, what is sparking them to think they might need what you do?
A business going through growing pains that can't afford an assistant.
Growing pains? Okay.
Growing pains in a business.
Okay, so the business is growing, so that would be a spark that they're starting to feel that. Okay. What else? What else might be? Scott?
Upcoming layoffs. So like from helping people transition careers, you know, they're doing layoffs.
So they see some layoffs coming, or that they might be laid off themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be a spark to them. Okay. Anything else? Think of a indicator, a spark that would say they might need your service. Yep.
For what I do is a lot of times businesses are growing, but that's not the spark so much as that things start falling off the desk, so to speak, that they miss. You know, they try to keep everything in their head, and they don't have any systems to really keep track of things, and they start missing things or forgetting to bill or whatever. Those are the types of things that we need some system to keep track of what's going on with our customers.
Okay. Good. If you can write that down, 2 words.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you can write in here some different sparks of what would kind of start to indicate people would need your service. Now in the next column, we start to think about how could that go bad? You know, if they don't use you, if they don't hire you, how might that start to go bad? If they didn't hire your company to clean the house, what might happen?
It'll be dirty.
It'll be dirty, yeah. Okay.
It'll lessen their mental health.
Oh, okay. Because all the clutter
Yeah,
or the.
just bring them down.
Okay. Good. What else from someone else? How could it start to go bad if they didn't?
Well, in my case, because I also assist seniors, an auntie starting to get dementia, the disaster is that she could be a danger to herself. She doesn't get somebody in there to help the family.
Very good.
Deal with her issues.
Okay, good, yeah. Scott?
What I've been finding too is even lawsuits, like if they don't get out early, a lot of times it gets so toxic at their workplace that there's lawsuits against them or what they need to do, and there's just a whole lot more stress. It just gets worse before it gets even better, so even staying there and writing out can be a lot worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could even go to lawsuits. Okay, good. Anyone else? I like where you're going. Where it's like, how could it get even worse? Because that's my next question. How can it get even worse? You know, you said like mental health. You know, or they could go crazy. Panic attack. You know, the family refuses to ever come over because the house is always a wreck. What else? I know we're playing around with this, but these are some of the fears that go on in the back of people's minds. And we want to poke at that a little bit. In a good way. Because we want to move them in a positive direction, right? So we want to expose how things are, you know, it could be a little scary. And it doesn't mean we're going to put this whole story on the website. I wouldn't suggest that at all. Because Otherwise, you disappear as a bad insurance salesman that just paints a bleak thing all the time. But anything, how could it go really bad? Any other ideas there? Scott?
Divorce, you get laid off. And,
yeah?
Money's a big deal with relationships ending.
Right? Yeah, you can write all these kinds of things, divorce, suicide, these are extreme, but in the next column, I want you to, what are some emotions that come out of that? That, if that they actually did have that worst day, what would they be feeling?
Regret, sorrow.
Regret, sorrow, okay, good ones.
Depressed.
What's that?
Depressed.
Depression.
Rejected.
What's that?
Rejected.
Rejected, mm-hmm.
Self-blame.
Self-blame, yeah, good. Yeah, these are good words to have in mind. And as you think about the players that could catch this or take this ball and run with it, which of these might you use to get a little of that negative emotion going?
Imagery. I mean, it's
Imagery?
easy to create a mood with an image or something
Yeah.
like that.
So as you think of these, you could draw a little line and kind of connect the dots over there, because maybe that's something you explore. Testimonials could be key here, that if someone that they were in that dark situation before you helped them, that they could kind of, third-party words are always great, because then someone else is saying it, you're not saying it. And when it's true, it's always better. Yeah, Scott?
So in parallel with testimonials have some impact.
Yeah.
Because it's like, Dru is an awesome guy. I love working with Dru.
Uh-huh.
Scott Corvallis, right? And it's no one's gonna put in there. Dru was, pretty good.
Right.
Scott, right?
Yeah.
So in their case studies would go on that as well.
You can add that little, yeah.
Where it's kind of more of when it describes something, people can insert their, this is like, yeah, I set up a web page on Wix, Weebly, whatever. I did this, I was spending all my time learning the system. Then they upgraded it and all that stuff. Then Dru came in, and man, I was able to focus just on my business, right? I mean, then people can go, yeah, I can see myself in that, and as a case study, it's got more power than just a testimonial.
So you're saying
Yeah.
at specifics about what Dru did, or
Yeah,
Victoria
and
did.
what the setup is, what my problem is.
Uh-huh.
People can substitute, oh yeah, I don't use Wix, I use Weebly, or whatever your business is. So like in your business too, it's just like, yeah, I was spending all my time chasing this stuff around, not doing the stuff that actually made money. Yvonne came in and I made money. That's a good story.
Right.
And a
Yeah.
true story.
So you can add reviews to this list. It's kind of like a testimonial, but what Scott's pointing out is kind of focusing on that setup, the negative part of it. If you can coach people through that, they've had that dark day, and then you brought them to the light day. If you can get them to say it, then that's all the better. Whether it's in video or written or those kinds of things. Okay. Any other emotions? Well, let's move on to the best day. It's time.
I'm kind of depressed after
Yeah, right. Okay, so for the next exercise, so that was the first exercise with the biggest thing, which is the motivation, pain. If you can do things there to help people remember why they should be motivated and move them in that way, that is the biggest thing that could play in your favor. But the next one is vision. How you uniquely solve and make their day better. We can do a similar exercise here. The sparks would be the same thing as above, the same kind of indicator. But how could that be, I said victory here instead of a disaster? How could that be, what would that look like if it was good? How can you improve their situation? You can start with this and you can answer it generally, what you do, cleaning, house cleaning, business cleaning, how does that improve? But then you can get even better and more unique with it is how you particularly do it. You know, how you do it differently than the others, or what you focus on. Anyone can start to describe how you give more victory to someone rather than a dark day? Sometimes it's easy to explain that, sometimes it takes more explanation. Yes, Scott?
So I think a big one for me I've noticed is like if someone's still working somewhere and it's toxic, right? They're still drained. So, and they're just trying to spend an average of 15 to 20 hours looking for other work on top of that, not getting good results. So like I've been able to show across the years that it's about an average of 3 to 5 hours I help them spend and they get better results. So it's like I'm helping them optimize their strategies and there's less stress and less time involved so they can make that transition smoothly.
Okay. That's definitely a brighter picture. Now you can take this even further and just okay, how does this transform their life? You know, even because like within the dark days, we thought, okay, how does it get really, really dark? But now think of it on the bright side. How does it transform things? You know, does it open things up so they get more clients? You know, so that they finally reach those goals that they're always dreaming about because that kind of put the right piece in. They get the dream job, you know, and all they can pay for their kids all going through college, and they can, you know, retire like they've been wanting to, and you know, if you get in mind what is that bright side of the picture, and then again we're trying to pull some emotions out of that, and these are a flip flop of the dark emotions that we were getting all depressed about a little bit ago, and so this is, you know, what are some emotions you can think of on the bright side?
Relief.
Relief, Did you have it up?
Well, that was actually the one I was going to say. I've had clients where they were in they didn't know, you know, whether they're making money, losing money on their projects. They didn't know where the money was going, and getting things in place so they understood what was happening and all that. It was just that relief of, gosh, we know what's going on with our business now. We never really did, and it was just that kind of settling in of, okay, we can do this.
Right. What are some other emotions on that positive side?
One's excitement.
Excitement? Yeah, that's a good one.
Or because all of a sudden the doorway is open or the car is running fast, so they can accomplish the goals and whatever they want to do, so they're excited about that.
Yeah. Feel the energy lift as you hear this and as you think about it yourself, because where all that, you know, is elation. It's you know, it's that in the movies when all the lights come on and you know,
and the music goes to a crescendo.
Right, they're singing and dancing, and you know, it's extreme, but you know, that's how you want people to swing when they consider what you have to offer. Scott, you kind of raising your hand?
Yeah, testament to Brett, because I know when we met, I was telling him like some of my biggest challenges were that I was getting too many inquiries, and since I'm one person, I couldn't handle them all, and so I'd actually become afraid of having posts that get a lot of traction because I didn't know how to handle everything. And then even when I would get a lot of clients, like I'd have courses on top of it, and it was hard for me to manage all that. So when Brett was able to say like, he just painted me the picture. He said, well, not only are you going to have more optimized systems, so you won't have to be afraid when you get those, but you'll also be able to do what you love doing, which is more the customer service and the coaching, and you'll have your courses set up so like it could track certain things, like admin things that are just super painful for me, and I just like felt just this weight, all these weights lifted off, like handcuffs were coming off.
There we go, yeah.
Yeah, hopeful would be a good word too.
Yeah, hopeful. That's a great word. So again, think about what are the players that could help get this message out there. You know, video can work great. I put bullet points in here because a lot of people, including myself especially, were scanners. You just scan the page, and so bullet points pull things out and help. Those are the phrases they're looking for. If they don't read all the beautiful words that you put on there, you had someone write for you, at least they get the bullet points. And search engines like bullet points too, so that can be helpful. You get testimonials, video testimonials to tie into social feeds where positive stories are being out there. Numbers, sometimes people like numbers on websites to say, okay, how many people you've helped, or what percentage, or things like that. Sometimes this kind of thing can be expressed with numbers, or charts, or I think infographics. Infographics can be great for explaining complicated things, because you can get them to that brighter day, but people don't necessarily follow along. But maybe a good infographic could help them see, oh, man, I can't wait to get there. I'm going to hire this person. I'm going to buy this product. All right, so again, you can kind of make lines or indicate how you can build up that data. Those are the top two ones, the motivation, the pain, and the vision. You could put a 4 and a 3. I mean, if you're into algebra and math, that's how those were weighted as being important. Let's move to the first negative one, and this had a weight of 2 in our chart. And this is anxieties. I mentioned before that anxieties is all the mental reasons why people resist moving forward with you, resist doing what you want them to do. What are some of them that you can think of that why people would get hung up in their head? Yes?
Trust.
Trust, okay.
They have to trust us in their home.
Very good. Yeah. So they get hung up that, I don't know you, I don't trust you, so. Very good. Yeah, write that one down. What are some other anxieties, mental hang-ups?
Cost.
Cost? Yeah, kind of. I would kind of put that under friction, which is physical, but yeah, there are some costs.
How much will it cost? Will I get value for my money?
Yeah. Will I get value? That's kind of talks into trust again. Could be, am I worth that? Am I worth it to spend that kind of money on something? That can be a mental hang-up too. What else could be a mental hang-up?
Track record.
Track record?
Track record. Nobody wants to be the first person to do something, so they want to know what's successful for other people.
Yeah, and that can tie into some other anxieties as far as being exposed or embarrassed because they, spent this much money for whatnot, and they were the first one that did it, so they didn't see the social proof. Yeah.
Go ahead. They say, or their own track record of trying something that didn't work out.
Right.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, it's their own track. If they have some failures in the past or that they, have blundered, they don't want to repeat that. So that would definitely be an anxiety. Yes.
Or admitting that they need this help.
Very good. Yeah. It's kind of exposure. It kind of ties into embarrassment. It ties into just denial. Feels much more comfortable than. Very good.
The feeling you need to do it yourself.
Right. Yeah, that's a mental hang-up. So I should be able to do this myself.
Well, especially when we're preaching to the choir where I just heard that you're a small businessman, you have to do it all yourself. So acknowledging that you need help.
Right. Those are excellent. So for each one of these anxieties, you need to come up with a remedy. That is, you kind of feel that. How do you word it in such a way, or what would get them past that anxiety, where it's not as big of an issue, or shouldn't be an issue? Can you think of a remedy that would counter an anxiety that you thought of?
So the question, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Here's a service offered by somebody else that's in the same price range. The marketplace says, yeah, I'm worth $50 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So it's comparison of what you're offering to stuff that's already out there, so that the potential customer is informed that, yeah, this is a fair price.
Yeah. And so the players that could, that could be in quotes or testimonials, hearing from a third party, or in the words that are there that are explaining, your way around that. Anyone else think of a remedy to anxiety?
On the cost one, the value of return. be it in time or be it in the solution it provides.
So you're helping them through that by helping them evaluate, how it should make sense or it could make sense. So you're validating them for their critical thinkers, but you're giving them a way to resolve that issue themselves. Does that make sense? This frequently asked questions, these can be a great place to address some of these anxieties. So if you list as many anxieties as you can and come up with remedies, and you can put it into frequently asked questions. That, a lot of people ask this question. This is the answer. Yes, Peter?
Yeah, I saw one website where they didn't use frequently asked questions. They used questions asked and answered.
Oh, okay, there we go, like that. Yeah. Think of any of these other players that could help get people through. Video testimonials can work great, or that someone else in a similar situation, they're explaining how they got through it and they chose your solution. Sometimes forums can be interesting because it can help them go work through those questions in their head and to find their own solution. Because if they're critical thinkers, that maybe you can put together a forum that kind of asks those questions, and then it kind of leads them to a solution. Sometimes there's some ways to do that kind of thing. Okay, that's anxiety. Let's keep moving on. This, and again, mark it all up the way. Oh, come back here. We're back. Okay, friction and incentive I kind of tagged together. They were the last two that were kind of had a weight of 1 each, and so friction is the physical barriers. It can be. Oh, I did have some other anxieties listed there. Do I have friction? Oh, maybe I don't have it. Never mind. We'll come back to here. Okay. Know your slides. Mental note. Okay. So, what are some physical barriers? That cost, money is a barrier. There's a lot of mental stuff that goes on with that too, but that is a barrier. Some industries have a lot of friction because they have a lot of forms you got to fill out, or it's a really intense onboarding thing. So there's a lot of friction there. Location can be friction. They have to drive a distance over to you. Some friction on a website can be, if you're evaluating a website, can be the phone number is hard to find, or you're asking a lot of questions when you just want their contact information. Those are simple things that you can resolve. Brett?
Well, and whenever I've been through clients a lot with websites, it's like you're trying to have some call to action with that website, and you're trying to make that as easy as possible. So if you're trying to get them to buy a product, and you don't have that up there front and center, where it's very easy to click that button, it's like if they got to dig to find where to buy from you, that's an issue. That's a
right.
They got to click around or try to figure it out. That's the friction that will.
It's basically be invisible.
Yeah.
So visibility could be friction, but for each of these, solution is the next one. So if you can come up with eliminate as much friction as you can, so it can be make it visible. Peter, did you?
Well, just when they asked me to log, do you have an account? Either create an account or log in. Well,
right.
I'll bail out right then.
That creates friction because you have to know your password, or you have to.
Or I have to create an account. I don't want an account. I want some information.
Right. And friction can work to your advantage if you want to narrow how many people are moving along your sales funnel. If you want to rule out people, you can create friction in there just so you get the right people through. But if you want your sales funnel to be wide open, then you want to remove as much friction as you can. Yes, Scott?
I was going to say that was part of the thing that helped me was I did create some friction so the inquiries would be less, but they're better quality ones, and that's made my life a lot easier.
Yeah, so friction can work because if you just want the right type, because on our formula, maybe you don't want it to be wide open and you want it to be more qualifying. So you can work with some of these and say, I guess you could increase anxiety for the people that you want to scare away. you could do that if that's your strategy. But Peter, did you have something else? No, just stretching. Okay. Okay. So friction. If you come up with a solution to rule it out, think about that, and if there's a way, like with distance, this kind of gets into incentives. Incentives are, actually this is incentives. If there's things you can't remove, you can't simplify your process. You'd like to, but you have to ask all these questions, to move people through. Or you have a physical location and that's it, they have to come to you. There's certain things, or your cost is set and, that's what it is. There are certain things that will be friction. But this is where we can think about incentive. That if you can't remove friction, is there an incentive that you can match with that will help them through that? Is there anyone have any friction that they know that they just can't remove? That is just how business has to be done. Now, Jesse has a brick and mortar store, so people might have to come to you.
Material procurement, right? Like I can't do anything about how long it takes my suppliers to ship me the raw materials.
Right. So time. We didn't mention that. Time is friction because it could be we can't do anything about that. Is there an incentive that would help people overcome that? That maybe not. Maybe there is. But it could be related to it, or it could be something that. As we dig into like these passions, or particularly as you think back to the top two, the pain, how it resolves pain, and how your unique vision paints a brighter day, the more these incentives tie back up to those type of things, to open a bank account and get a toaster might not be an effective. But if part of the brighter day was making you more financially secure and having access to your money and things like that, if there were incentives that tied in with that, that'd be. I do have a slide for this. Incentives. It can be discounts. They don't always have to start there. It can be free shipping. That could be a thing that could help people through some necessary friction. Bonuses, limited time and availability. That's a little bit different, but that can be worked as an incentive. These over here, it's kind of the SAPS profile, that status, access, power, and stuff. You can think of incentives in there that is there some kind of incentive that you can create that gives them some kind of status? That they're, I am whatever. That's why, sometimes it's overdone. You get platinum, gold, and all, but that's why they do it, because it gives you status. It makes them feel good about themselves. And if that ties back into helping relieve anxiety and that kind of thing, that they think they're a nobody, but no, I'm not a nobody. I'm a somebody, because they say I am. Special access, maybe access to pricing, access to resources, to information. Maybe they have to become a member or buy something, but then they get access. Power, you think of it, how does that put them in a more powerful position, especially in how it paints a brighter day, or it removes them from this dark day that you talk about. How can you create incentives around power? And then there's stuff. I like to think of that last, because you can always throw in something like that, and there might be something that's related to the brighter day. If it's about money, maybe it's a scheduler or something that helps them figure out their finances. It makes sense with, it's not just a toaster or something generic. It can be those things if people respond to that, but it's going to have more power if it plays in with the incentive, or in with our formula. So, I don't have a final slide. That is it. But hopefully, going through this gives you some ideas. Whoever you are using to work on your website, or you're working on it yourself, now you hopefully have some ideas. And you know why you might do that. Why these players can help you into the end zone. Love to help you myself. That is what I do with Call to Action Alliance, so I can do that. But you can take this to your web person and say, hey, here's some ideas. Because websites are awesome because I used to be on the print side of things, and nothing against that. But once it's printed, it's final. Or you can go get some more printed. But I like web because it's always evolving. Your website can change every day if you want to. And it should change over time to evolve. And that's a great thing about that medium. So hopefully this gives you some ideas. And I'm probably out of time, so I will turn it back over to Brett. So, that's it. That is all for now.
Are you sure? All right. Well, thank you, Drew. Note to self, final slide.
Yes. Note to self, final slide.
Oh, well, so thank you, Drew. I mean, for starting all this and bringing, this is a very different way of looking at, web design and really, getting your website to do what you want it to do. A lot of people come in and they'll talk about SEO and analytics and things like that, and this really gets down to really kind of the why and the how behind it. First you've got to have some reason on, why people react some way that they do, or ways that you can help them, solve their own problem by working with you. So that's good stuff. So this is the time where we talk a little bit more about, I think everybody's actually said what they do from our group here.
Yes.
We usually have our allies introduce themselves, but our allies already kind of did that. Unless there's something else an ally would like to say about their particular organization or anything like that. No? Okay, we'll leave it at that. Does that happen?
There's Scott? Scott Weaver. Scott Weaver. How do people get to learn more about the Beck?
They can talk to me, talk to Peter. Well, we have a website at the Beck.
I can talk to you, man, too.
Yeah.
Talk to any of us, actually.
Yeah, so you have office space and...
Yeah, office space, internet, rising, positive environment to help businesses grow. We understand not only the technical side of starting a business and growing a business, but also the emotional side and networking side. We can actually help you further along. We're long-term partners. It isn't one, you talk to us once with the Beck. You're usually with us for at least a year, and objective is help people grow.
All right. Very cool. All right. Thank you. All right, so this is the time when you guys get to talk back to us now, because we would love to hear, and you can stand up and say, what nugget did you take from this that you might use, in the very, very near future for your business? So, if you don't mind.
For me, I like having this template right here that we can use. It's an actual tool that we can lay out our thoughts. Just having this piece of paper is really helpful.
Very good.
I certainly know we will be adding an FAQ on our website. Phone call after phone call, it's the same questions all of the time.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, you can solve that without having to answer every one of those, hopefully.
Yes.
Peter?
I think it fills in the framework. I tend to think in terms of maybe only one or two of these things, but this is a broader framework and a balanced framework. You think about the positive and the negative signs of trying to get a message out.
Thank you.
So I like the concepts and the tools. It's going to give me a way to go back and assess my own website and see what else I might tweak, change, add, subtract. I don't know yet, but in general, the whole thing just gives me some good tools to go and do that assessment. Thank you.
Yeah. It's always good to go back and, because it gives you some kind of outside eyes to look at your own thing. It's easy to look at your website and say, I think it's fine. But when you go back with a critical way of looking at it, it really does help.
Essentially say the same thing, going back and reviewing the websites, but using these tools here to pull out, identify, I'll say, the weaker areas. You say, well, here's more of a full list of the types of things that might be be challenging for the website in drawing people, keeping people on the website, or giving them the pieces of information that they maybe don't just want, or don't just need, but want to get them coming back or getting the product, whatever that might be for your particular website.
Thank you.
Scott Weaver.
Well, I was expecting like what color of buttons to use, and but this is much better, because what this does identify the value proposition, and it links it up with the football players or the players on that, so you can better communicate the value proposition on your website.
So I also like the framework. I was kind of reflecting on our current website, and we approached it from a standpoint of, hey, here's what we're capable of doing, not from a standpoint of what do our customers come to us for. So this definitely gives me something to go back and reevaluate, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's nice to have a framework to look at stuff that's not specific to one type of site. So you can apply this to different types. Some people are trying to build a community, some people are trying to sell products. I mean, there's different outcomes, but I think you can still overlay the same framework. And it's amazing, there's a lot of, most people set up their websites and they don't follow the analytics. So they don't know kind of what they're doing. But if you set the baseline up and actually measure some stuff, and then you start making these changes, you've got, a gauge, so you can, you can get a third party to look at this and go, hey, Jesse, what do you think? If you look at my website, here's a sheet, tell me what you think. And I can evaluate and make some changes, but then I can see what the measurement is. So I like it. I think it's really very useful.
All right. Scott?
So I really like the different players. It was just good to even think of getting a new infographic or something just to drive certain messages home at certain places and where to post that. I think it's just really good to have a different arsenal, so then you could measure things and how they work well with certain times. And I think the biggest takeaway for me right now was doing the FAQ on my sales calls, because I've noticed since I've narrowed down my products and service right now, is I get similar questions, and so to pay closer attention to what those questions are, and then have that as part of it to just kind of show, and then show the answers. So it's we could do the verbal and the visual learning. I find when you could combine that for people, it just sinks in deeper. So it's good. Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for your feedback. That was fantastic. So we appreciate you guys being here and taking your time with us. We hope you got something out of this that you can really use. If you need to contact anybody here, you can certainly come up and talk to us or fill out your sheet, and we can get back to you. So on Facebook, thank you for watching. Hopefully a number of people out there looking from there, and thank you all for being here.